Aha. Hey everybody, it's Ashton with another Knife Guy channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to be taking kind of an extended look at the AD-15 here, the new cold steel release for 2019, along with a few of the few other models such as the AD-10, the Crawford. But to be honest, the AD-15 was the most interesting thing to me, and it was an absolute must buy, and I'll tell you why in a second. So a little bit about the AD-15 just to go over if you haven't seen my previous video, the overview. This is an Andrew Demkol design. If you have heard of that name before, that should make sense because Andrew Demkol is sort of the designing force behind cold steel. He has done the Code 4 series, the AK-47 series, Ultimate Hunter, American Lawman, as well as a few others. But all of his designs tend to be extremely useful, extremly well balanced as far as usability and design aesthetics are concerned, and all of his designs seem to cut extremely well. They seem to translate, into being incredibly robust models, but also cut extremely well. A perfect example right here is the AD-15, my favorite cold steel release ever, I think. So that's one thing about the knife that I really love is the design, the robustitude, if you will, of the feel in the hand. It's got a neutral shape. It's not a positive grip, but so it might not tick your box on that end, but to me, it's got a nice neutral grip and it feels very, very solid. It's like if you were to go be deployed somewhere, if you were in the military or some kind of armed service, you were to be deployed or go out in the field or whatever, you would be hard pressed to find another knife that has a more solid feeling in hand. And I think that's got a lot to do with the weight and just the thickness of the handle in general, and just I think the neutral shape really helps in that as well. It feels very toolish rather than weapony, if that makes sense. Another thing I really love is the action. Obviously, this is something that needs to be expanded upon greatly. So what we have here is the Demkol Scorpion lock, and it's essentially a modified strap lock. And what you do is this yoke here, it lifts up when you engage the blade, and then it'll fall into that groove there, just like that. So basically, you're reinforcing it with your hand, also adding to the stability of the lock itself, and you can also close the blade without even having your fingers in the blade path. Makes for a really versatile and really enjoyable experience, sort of flicking this knife open and closing it all day. I've been trying to find different ways to open this knife, like that or like this. I don't know, it's just really fun. I like to fidget with things in my hand. Knives are one of those things that satisfy that itch for me, and yeah, the AD-15 is an absolute dream in all of those respects. Another thing that I want to touch on is the value factor of this. So Cold Steel has released this for about 160 bucks street price. That is absolutely amazing, considering the mid-tech / customs come in at around 700 bucks plus. That's an incredible deal. That was one of the main reasons why I wanted to get this as well, is because it's such a great example of the value you can find in the modern knife market. Another thing that's different about the production version and the custom is the production version uses phosphor bronze and Teflon washers, a combination of the both. And the custom uses Teflon only. That's a big hit for a lot of people, for me included. I'm not a big fan of Teflon washers. You know, I just don't like it. When all the other production knives are coming out with bronze, why would you put Teflon in a custom? And even in production models, you know, yeah, okay, if you're gonna talk about the Ganzos and all those other knives in like the less than $20 or $30 price range, well, that's fine. But as soon as you get up to about $40, anything above there, if you're using Teflon, I just don't know why. I just don't know why you're doing it. Anyway, next point. One thing I really want to touch on is Cold Steel as a company in general. Yes, everybody knows that they have really weird marketing tactics, really cool to some people, really weird to others. I don't mind either way. People need to market the way they market. That's kind of the way it goes in the game. And Cold Steel is operating in a niche that isn't really filled by any other knife company, and I absolutely respect that. The thing that I noticed though about Cold Steel and their catalog is they have amazing designs from like Andrew Demko and you know, the other designers on the team there. And then they have these really outlandish sort of obvious weapon or, you know, hunting sort of gear, like the blowgun or the crossbow or the walking stick sword or the giant Viking sword, something like that. You know, yeah, they have all that stuff, and they're literally like one of the only companies putting that kind of stuff out there on the market, and I gotta appreciate them for that. But there's a double-edged sword here, to make a pun. You kind of ostracize an entire section of the knife buying market by putting out stuff like, you know, that is essentially very, very polarizing. So designs like the AD-15, somebody that's like, I will never buy a Cold Steel simply because Lynn Thompson seems crazy. I know he seems crazy, but he's actually a really nice guy from everything I've heard. But yeah, you know, the guy's saying, oh, I will never buy a Cold Steel because of the marketing, and I don't really like everything like that. You're gonna miss out on something absolutely amazing. You're gonna miss out on, you know, some awesome designs from them. Cold Steel does it really, really well, and at really, really aggressive price points. So I honestly think that they, you know, something needs to be done, and they just need to put out sort of a message, or maybe even rebrand. I don't know, maybe I can get a lot of hate in the comments for that, but, you know, whatever. If they did sort of like separate their line from the weapon sort of outlook and then the everyday carry, you know, I have a cool folder sort of thing. Yeah, put all the crazy designs in there. Put the Espada, put all the stuff, but then, you know, put your blowgun and crossbow somewhere else. I don't know. Folding knives are folding knives, weapons are weapons. I don't really have much else to say about that. Now, one thing I will talk about is a couple of the issues that you might, you know, come across when you're handling an AD-15. I haven't handled a custom, but you know, I've found some things on this that I thought may have been a little bit different. Now, I know the Scorpion lock is not as strong. This is the triad lock. It's hand reinforced, and it just, you know, it just won't stand up to the abuse. Jimmy Slash, shout out Jimmy Slash. You did an amazing job abuse testing the Scorpion lock. It's incredibly, you know, confidence inspiring to me, and I have no problem using it in, you know, in any way, in any case. So that's awesome. Thank you for doing that and subjecting your knives to all that abuse for our entertainment and for our information as well. So Kevin Cleary also mentioned that whenever you engage the lock here, you'll experience a little bit of blade play, but as soon as you put your hand on this lock, it locks up super solid. So that's one of the things that kind of annoyed me a little bit, though. When you have it open, you're just holding it like this, you might get a little bit of blade play in that sweet spot. So, you know, that there, just another note, there is a sweet spot in this knife with the pivot. So if you take your Torx wrench and you adjust your pivot, you turn it too tight, you're going to get an action that's really stiff, and it won't fly open, won't fall shut, you know, all that stuff. So basically, you want to find the sweet spot where you open it and then there's no blade play and all that. With this knife, you can adjust it, you find that sweet spot, but the no blade play part comes when you put your hand on the lock. All right, so that's really what you want to know. So here you'll get a little bit, but I think that's just the way the design is. I'm not sure, but it was just a little thing for me. It may not be a big deal to you, but I kind of wish that even here, you didn't get any blade play, and that you could still, have it fall shut. Another thing that people might not like is the weight on it. It's pretty heavy. Let's check it out on the scale here. Definitely not too heavy for me, but heavy for a lot of people, I'm sure. So we're coming in at 6.6 ounces. It's it's on the upper end of what I would carry. This is probably the heaviest thing I would carry on a daily basis. And I have been carrying it on a daily basis. It is that good of a knife. And another difference and something that people might not like is the Custom has a titanium yoke that's pinned together and titanium liners, and this one has a one-piece aluminum yoke and stainless steel liners. I don't really care. I think the $500 price difference justifies it, and it's pretty awesome in that way. So yeah, that's pretty much it on the AD-15 here. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe down below, and look forward to another video coming out soon.